The question that I've been asked in relation to my involvement with the St. John the Divine Church and the activities and the programs delivered there are, why would I suggest to the community, other people in the community, that that would be a place for them to be interested and involved? And I guess the reason is that I think from the beginning of Christianity and several other religions as well, the concern has been for the socially deprived and the social issues of the community at that day and at that time. And I think the Church of St. John the Divine has risen to that challenge. As well, some of the social issues that the community faces today are those involved with inclusivity. And I think that the congregation and community of St. John the Divine have an outstanding record of being a very inclusive community and one that is there to respond to the needs of the community.
Victoria Kool-Aid Society is really appreciative of St. John the Divine Church. We've actually been a partner with them since Kool-Aid began over 40 years ago. One of the very first spaces that we utilized for our programs were the basement of St. John the Divine Church. And 40 years later, we're still working with St. John and using their basement. They've come to the plate 3 times now to assist with providing emergency shelter for Victoria's homeless. We've had 40 mats in St. John's in the last 3 winters, actually. And we were just so appreciative of them being willing to open their doors and coming to the plate as a good neighbor, helping out the community. Certainly Harold Munn himself is a great community resource. He's been on the Greater Victoria Steering Committee to End Homelessness since it began back in 2000. And now that that's been taken into the Greater Victoria Coalition to End Homelessness, Harold's been playing a big part at the leadership table there. So I just think it's so important that the community recognize how important St. John the Divine is to making our community a better place.
St. John's is located in the downtown of Victoria in an area that's, in some people's minds, not the most desirable part of the city. There's a lot of homelessness, people sleeping on our property, mental illness, drug issues. And one of the things that really impresses me about St. John's congregation is the way that Sunday after Sunday, people from other parts of the city, nicer parts of the city often, come to church, and they know that they're going to be encountering people on the sidewalk and people in difficult situations. And after a while, people begin to get to know who those people are on our property. You get to know a bit about their situations, and you begin to get a sense, because it's a church, that when these people were born, God was delighted at their birth and wonderfully looking forward to how they were going to live, and we've become God's hands to do something about that.
About 3 years ago, we came to St. John because we were looking for a church that would be welcoming to our family, that had a strong children's program, and that also was putting faith into action. A few months after we had been at the church, I was driving home one day, and my son, who was about 5, was in the back seat and said to me, "Thanks, Mom, for finding that church." So I knew we had met the first goal. And this winter, when we worked to open a weekend shelter for people that had no place to go in the cold, snowy weather, I knew that we had also found a church that puts their faith into action. We had a Sunday that was really cold, and not very many people came to church, and one of our community came, and his name's Levi, and he brought with him some women who had been outside all night, and their fingers were cold, and they had no gloves, and they had all their belongings with them. And after church, we all had lunch together, and it just became really clear that if we closed the church, there'd be no place for them to go for the rest of the day. So Harold and I turned to each other and said, "What are we going to do?" And Harold said, "I'm going to go call and see if we can get our caretaker to come and open up the crypt." And I said, "That's a great idea. I'll see if I can round up some volunteers." And we did. People stepped up and said, "Yeah, I'll come and stay for the afternoon." And then Levi and one of our other community, Rob, went out and they found people on the streets who needed a place to go, and they came inside.
As a longtime member of St. John's Parish and having some knowledge of the broader community in Victoria, I accepted the position to be the patron of this campaign that is being launched to raise sufficient funds to meet specific goals at St. John's, particularly the replacement of the roof. It may seem unusual to be reaching out to the community beyond the congregation of the parish, but the fact of the matter is that this church has wide interests and participates in many ways with the broader community, and I have seen a lot of that in the work that I've done over the last year and a half as heading the coalition in the Greater Victoria area. It's beyond the means of the congregation to meet the financial commitment that's called upon at this time because of the structure of the building, and for that reason there's an outreach program going on by those who are in charge of the campaign to seek community participation. I would certainly, on behalf of the committee that's doing all the work, welcome your participation and any assistance you can give in any way possible to the congregation of St. John the Divine in Victoria.